So I've been looking at Bluetooth speakers. I've got three different variations here we're going to look at today. The options I was looking for is I wanted something that had USB-C charging. I wanted it to have Bluetooth capability to connect two of them. And then I wanted something that was going to be sound good, easy to use, yada, yada, yada. So I ended up finding three that were reviewed somewhat good. For those that wanted more of an industrial, I went with the Ryobi version here. This is in their little small battery, the USB battery, the little guy here. And it's an interchangeable battery, but this is the FVA51. Now this fits into their whole line of speakers that will allow them to wirelessly connect. So you can go and have many dozens of these speakers connected in a sequence to have audio all around. So I wanted to try something. They're about $100 a pop, by the way. I wanted to try these. And then I went and compared those with the Ultimate Ears, their little units here. These are the little Wonderboom 4. And these are available from a variety of different spots and such. I picked mine up from Sam's Club, I believe. Again, the ability to charge by a USB-C, and then you've got the units that will connect. And then the final one, I was looking on Amazon to find something, and the Tribit, Tribit. Now the little Tribit are, I ended up grabbing two different colors because I wanted to take a look at them. But again, USB-C charging, and they have a nice long battery life, and they connect. So these are the three. Now we're going to look at it there, kind of, and I could play so you could listen to it, but it's going through microphones and it's not going to give you an accurate indication. But I've spent quite a bit of time comparing these. So for ultimately, the first question you're going to ask is, which one has the best sound? I'm going to kind of rate the sounds or kind of explain the sounds to you. First off, with the Ryobi, these probably can get the loudest. So we'll hold that and come back to that. But the sound with the Ryobi is kind of the vocal range. You're going to be able to hear vocals really well, and they're going to give you some good volume with that. The bass is almost non-existent. Do you miss it? Maybe not if you're listening to podcasts and you need a little more volume and you want to hear the voices, but they don't have a ton of bass. For best overall sound, kind of across the spectrum, the Tribit actually, for their size especially, sounded really good. You don't have a ton of bass, but you have a really nice vocal range and you have a little bit of highs. So for just kind of a general sound, the Tribit were actually really, really good. But the one that had probably the best sound would be the Ultimate Ears. The Ultimate Ears, they have different modes that you can use. There's a standard mode, there's an outdoor mode, and then there's a podcast mode. In standard mode, these have got a surprisingly good amount of bass. You're not going to feel it. I mean, it's not that type of speaker, but it actually sounds really good to put this up on a shelf, like at work. I put it up on top of a file cabinet, and it really makes a nice sound throughout the office. So quality-wise of sound, I would have to probably give the Ultimate Ears Wonderboom 4 the nod for sound quality. Now, for longevity and battery life, we're almost equivalent across the board. The Ryobi might get a nod because you have replaceable or interchangeable batteries. It's all a sealed area down below here, and you can put the new battery, you can replace and swap a new battery in. So that is pretty cool. Definitely cool thing in that configuration. You can't do that with either of the other two units, but you're getting somewhere in that 8 to 10 hours with any of these. Obviously, louder is going to be shorter. Battery life, it's like almost an all day at work with any of them. So that really wasn't a big thing. The next is ease of use. Now to go and connect the Bluetooth is very simple. And then to connect it to Ryobi were very simple. When you went to connect to them the next time, you turn these two on, and if your device was connected to them, it will find, and the two will connect to each other, and you're good to go. The Tribit did the same thing. They were easy to connect. The instructions were a little bit more difficult to figure out, but it wasn't horrible. Once you've got it figured out, once they're connected, they will stay connected on different on-off cycles. You turn them on the next day, they will connect with each other, and then you can connect your device. It really works well. Here's where the ultimate ears was a pain. I could not figure out how to get these to continually remember the connection between the two. It wasn't a horrible thing to do, is that you just had a little button to push in the middle, and one enters pairing mode, and then you turn the other one, and they hear each other, and boom, they're connected. But you have to do that every time. You connect to one, and then you have to connect to the other. It wasn't like you could turn them both on, and then you connect to them, and off you go. So I wasn't too happy about that. So as long as we're talking connectivity, the Tribit were consistent, they connected, and they sounded great. Wonderboom had their issue. The issue that Ryobi had is that there were times where they were connected, but we were having audio delay. It was like an echo between the two. It was the darndest thing. I've never really heard that with Bluetooth speakers before. An echo. And then after 30 seconds to a minute, it went away. They were in sync again. I didn't like that, and it happened multiple times, so that was not a cool thing. Wasn't happy about that. Volume-wise, the Ryobi can get the loudest, but that's in the vocal range. If you're talking about overall volume and such, you're probably getting your best bang for the buck with the Wonderboom. The Wonderboom does do a really nice job. The thing is, when you're in a room, an office, you don't need them to be that loud. So then maybe you go back to the smaller size of the Tribit. They sound really good again. It's just they don't quite have the bass. But sometimes when I'm in the office, I don't want to have a ton of bass. I almost felt that the Wonderboom in one of my smaller offices was almost overkill. There was almost too much bass for the area, and it seemed to make things a little hard to hear as I was talking with my coworkers. Your mileage is going to vary on these depending upon what your musical tastes are and what you're listening to. I was listening to yacht rock, so you're looking at pop from the 70s and 80s, and there were times where there was just a little more bass than I would like to have had in the office. With that being said, I still have been kind of defaulting back to these as my speakers in the office. Overall, they all have the ease of use and such with the controls. They're right there. Your volume up and down are all controlled on all of the speakers, so it's really quite consistent with that technology. The linking and such, excluding the Ryobi having the glitches a couple of times, and then for a long time they would work fine. But the Bluetooth technology really worked well. It sounds really good compared to what some of the early Bluetooth speakers are. It really is a situation that if you're needing something to be more durable and maybe go to the beach and be somewhat watertight or elements tight, maybe the Ryobi is a good option for you because it does sound good. It just doesn't have really almost any bass with that, but it gives you more volume. If you're needing something with a little more bass, maybe the Wonderbooms are going to be your option. They're a nice little unit, but they're kind of a fabric, so they're not as water resistant as the Ryobi. And then you get into the Tribit, you're still kind of a fibrous grill, cloth grill. So they're not going to be really an outdoor speaker. Each one has their positives and negatives. I could play them for you and you could hear them, but again, it's coming through a phone. You're not going to hear what I'm hearing. Just to know that each one has its good and its bads. If you're really into bass, the Wonderboom is for you. If you're really into vocals and listening to your podcasts and you're listening to vocals, maybe the Ryobi will fit into your Ryobi world. And if you're looking for something small and it still does a really nice job, and you can get both of these for around $100, this might be your option. Again, about $100 for the two. These are $100 a piece. And these are coming in, depending upon where you buy them, from $50 a piece to about $80 a piece. I'll put links in the description below so you can check all of these out. But this is my little unscientific discussion about some Bluetooth speakers. This is John Young. Thanks for watching.